For tens of thousands of years, it was the undisputed king of the Ice Age, a 10-ton behemoth with colossal, curving tusks and a thick, shaggy coat, the woolly mammoth. It was a keystone of a lost world, a walking ecosystem engineer that shaped the very landscape of the Northern Hemisphere. And then, in the geological blink of an eye, it vanished. For 10,000 years, its story was over, a ghost frozen in time. Until now. In laboratories around the world, a radical and ambitious project is underway to reverse extinction. This is not science fiction. This is the real billion-dollar effort to bring the woolly mammoth back from the dead. To understand the mission, we must first understand the animal. The woolly mammoth, Mammothus primigenius, was a masterpiece of Ice Age evolution. Standing over 11 feet tall at the shoulder, the largest males weighed more than a modern African elephant. Their most iconic feature was their tusks, enormous, modified incisor teeth that could grow up to 16 feet long. These were not just for show. They were essential tools used for defense against predators like cave lions and scimitar-toothed cats, for clearing snow to find buried vegetation, and for social display. Their bodies were covered in a dense, double-layered coat, a long, coarse outer layer of guard hairs to shed snow and a soft, thick undercoat for insulation. Beneath their skin lay a 4-inch thick layer of fat, providing even more protection against the brutal cold. They were, in essence, the ultimate cold-weather machine. Socially, they were likely very similar to elephants today. Fossil trackways and bone beds suggest they lived in matriarchal herds, with females and their young forming the core family unit, while adult males lived more solitary lives. Their closest living relative is not the larger African elephant, but the smaller Asian elephant. Genetic analysis has revealed they share a common ancestor that lived 6 million years ago, and their DNA is a 99.6% match. This crucial genetic link is the key to the entire de-extinction project. The Asian elephant provides the living canvas upon which scientists can repaint a prehistoric masterpiece. The plan is not to create a mammoth from scratch, but to edit an elephant until it becomes, for all practical purposes, a mammoth. The first ingredient is the ghost of the mammoth itself, its DNA. The melting ice of the Siberian permafrost has become a treasure chest, revealing perfectly preserved remains. From these tissues, scientists can extract ancient DNA. The genome is shattered into millions of tiny pieces, but using powerful computers, they can stitch it back together into a complete woolly mammoth genome. We now have the code. The tool that makes the next step possible is a revolutionary technology called CRISPR. Often described as a pair of genetic scissors, CRISPR allows scientists to edit a genome with incredible precision. The company leading this charge, Colossal Biosciences, has identified the key genes that made a mammoth a mammoth. They take a skin cell from an Asian elephant and edit its DNA using CRISPR to introduce mammoth traits. Researchers begin to make edits. They target the gene for hemoglobin, giving it the mammoth version that was uniquely adapted to deliver oxygen to cells at freezing temperatures. They edit the genes for hair growth, programming the cell to produce a long, shaggy coat. They edit genes for a thick layer of subcutaneous fat. They even edit genes for smaller ears and a domed skull, physical traits that helped the mammoth conserve heat. Dozens of these critical edits are made, turning an elephant cell, genetically, into a mammoth cell. Once the editing is complete, the next step is to create an embryo. Using a technique called somatic cell nuclear transfer, the nucleus from this newly edited mammoth cell is placed into an elephant egg cell that has had its own nucleus removed. The egg is then stimulated, tricking it into believing it has been fertilized. If all goes well, it begins to divide and grow into an embryo. a mammoth embryo. But this incredible scientific effort is not just about creating a prehistoric zoo exhibit. The real reason for this project is far more ambitious. It is about bringing back the mammoth's world. That world was an ancient ecosystem known as the Mammoth Steppe. It was a vast, cold, dry grassland that stretched across the northern hemisphere. The mammoths were the keystone species. They knocked down trees, preventing forests from taking over, and they allowed vast, carbon-absorbing grasslands to thrive. With their immense weight, they compacted the snow in winter. That compaction allowed the deep cold of the air to penetrate the ground, keeping the permafrost frozen solid. When the mammoths disappeared, the ecosystem collapsed. The grasslands were replaced by less efficient mossy tundra and by forests. The ground, no longer compacted, became insulated by a thick layer of snow in winter. This allowed the permafrost beneath to begin to warm. This is the critical link to our modern climate crisis. The permafrost of the Arctic is a ticking time bomb. It holds an estimated 1.5 trillion tons of frozen carbon, twice the amount currently in our atmosphere. As it thaws, this carbon is released as methane and carbon dioxide, creating a catastrophic feedback loop that will accelerate global warming. The plan is to rewild the Arctic with these new mammoths. The hope is that they will restore the Mammoth Steppe. They will act as ecosystem engineers just as they did 10,000 years ago. Their grazing will promote the return of the grasslands, and their weight will compact the snow, helping to keep the permafrost frozen. The goal is not just to bring back one animal, but to use that animal as a tool to restore an entire ecosystem and fight climate change. Of course, the path forward is filled with immense challenges. The creature they are creating will not be a perfect 100% clone. It will be a genetically modified Asian elephant that looks and acts like a mammoth, a mammophant. And the question of how to bring this embryo to term is the project's biggest hurdle. Using an endangered Asian elephant as a surrogate mother for a 22-month gestation period is fraught with ethical problems to avoid. Meanwhile, scientists are working on a parallel technology that is just as ambitious: the artificial womb. The goal is to build a synthetic uterus that can grow the mammoth embryo all the way to birth, completely outside of a living animal. Colossal has set an audacious goal: to have their first calves born by 2028. We are standing at a profound crossroads. For our entire existence, humanity has been a force of extinction. Now, we are on the verge of becoming a force of creation. Is this the ultimate act of ecological restoration? Or is it an act of hubris? The answer is coming soon. The giants, it seems, are about to walk the earth again.